Okay, so today we're going to take a look at lesson 1 for module 7. Now, inside cover of your book, you'll see this image, okay? Make sure you go back to this image during the unit to remember some of the different conversions. You'll see one big giant G representing your gallon, okay? And 1 gallon is made up of 4 quarts. So you'll see the 4 Q's, okay? And then 1 quart is made up of 2 pints. You'll see 2 P's inside the Q. Okay, and then 1 pint is made up of 2 cups. You'll see the 2 C's inside the P. Okay, so moving on now to lesson 1. Okay, we're taking a look at conversion tables, okay, for length, weight, and capacity units using measurement tools and tables to solve problems. You'll see up here in our first one, we have Evan put a 2-pound weight on one side of the scale. How many 1-ounce weights will he need to put on the other side of the scale to make it equal? So basically what we're trying to do is figure out in 2 pounds how many ounces are there. That's basically all this question is asking us, because the 2 pounds have to equal the ounces on the other side. Okay, so thinking about our tape diagram, okay, we know that we have 2 pounds and we're trying to find out how many 1 ounce are there in our 2 pounds. Okay. Now, as you remember, 1 pound equals 16 ounces. Okay. So then 2 pounds equals 32 ounces. Okay, because it's 16 times 2. So then that tells us 32 ounces are in 2 pounds. Okay, and for that, remember, you can flip back to the practice sheet that we did in class, okay, for some of these conversions. So now number 2, we have Julius put a 3-pound weight on one side of the scale. Abel put 35 1-ounce weights on the other side. How many more 1-ounce weights does Abel need to balance the scale? So we know he has less than 3 pounds. Okay, so we have Julius and we have Abel. Okay, now Julius here has 3 pounds. Okay, and we know Abel has 35 ounces. Okay, and so we need to know how much more does he need to balance off that scale. Okay, so first up, what we need to know is how many ounces are in 3 pounds so that we can do our subtraction. Okay. Now our question is in ounces. It says how many more 1-ounce weights. So that means our unit when we go through here should be all in ounces. So we need to convert those 3 pounds into ounces. Okay, so 16 times 3, because again 16 ounces in a pound, we get 48. Okay, so that means our 3 pounds, okay, is 48 ounces. So now we can do 48 minus 35. Okay, and we'll see now that Abel needs 13 more ounces. Okay, and then that will balance the scale. Okay. Okay, so again, making sure you're paying attention to those units. Okay, now Mrs. Upton's baby weighs 5 pounds and 4 ounces. Okay, so that's mixed units here. How many total ounces does the baby weigh? Okay, so again, thinking about our tape diagram here, okay, we have our 5 pounds, which again we know is 16 ounces, and then she has 4 more ounces after that, and we need to know what is this total. Okay, so 16 times 5, okay, so we see that this section right here is 80, okay, and then 80 plus the extra 4 ounces gets us 84 ounces. So the baby weighs 84 ounces. Okay. All right, moving now on to number 4, we see that we have some conversion tables now. Okay, so again, like we talked about, we know that 1 pound is 16 ounces. Okay. Looking at what we did in number 2, we see that 3 pounds was 48 ounces. Okay. So the rule here for converting pounds to ounces is to multiply pounds times 16. Okay. So now we can go ahead and convert some of the rest of them. Okay. So 16 now times 7. Okay, so we have 112 ounces here. Next one, we're 16 times 10. That's pretty easy. We can do that right away. Now, if you notice, this last one is 17 pounds. Well, if you notice, we've already done 10 and 7. So all we need to do now is just add up the 112 and the 160. Okay. We can see 272 pounds, or 272 ounces. So since we've already converted the 10 and the 7, we can just add those up. Okay. All right, so moving on now to feet and inches. Okay. We know from your ruler that 12 inches are in a foot. Okay. We know that 2 times 12 is 24. So our rule here now is to multiply feet times 12. Okay. I know 5 times 12 is 60, and then 10 times 12, 120. And again, you see 15. So 5 plus 10 is 15. So now over here we can do 60 plus 120 and get 180. Okay. All right, next one we have 3 feet in a yard. Okay. So we know that the rule here is to multiply yards times 3. Okay. So now 2 times 3 is 6, 4 times 3 is 12, 10 times 3 is 30. And again, our last one here, we can combine 4 and 10 to get 14. So we're going to combine 12 and 30 to get 42. Okay. Okay, now moving on to the next one, we're going to do some conversions. Okay, now notice how these are mixed units. So we're going to do 1 unit at a time. So we know that 3 feet, okay, gets us 36 inches. So I'm going to write that above it. So now we're combining 36 and 1 to get 37 inches. Okay. Now 11 feet. Okay, we know that 11 times 12 is 132. Okay, we know that from our math facts. Okay, so it's 132 inches. Plus 10 inches gets us 142 inches. Okay. Next one, yards to feet. Okay, so 5 yards, 15 feet. So we have a total of 16 feet. Okay, next, yards to feet again. So 12 times 3 is 36. So we have 36 feet. Plus 2 is 38 feet. Now we switch to pounds and ounces. Okay, so this one we have to do a little bit of work now because we have 27 times 16 ounces. Okay. So again, doing our 2 by 2 multiplication. Okay, so now I have our next level here. Okay, so that means 27 pounds is 432 ounces. Okay, so some of these you have to do a little work off in the margin. Okay, so then total here we have 442 ounces. Okay, next one, yards to feet. Okay, so again, we know that we're doing 18 times 3. Okay, so there's 54 feet plus 9 more gets us 63 feet. Okay, next one we have 14 ounces or 14 pounds converted into ounces. So we're doing 14 times 16. Okay, so 24 times 6 is 84. We'll zoom this in a little bit. Okay. Okay, so 14 pounds now gets us 224 ounces. Okay, so we have 84 plus 140 gets us 224. plus 5 more, 229 ounces. Okay, next one. Make sure this one says feet over here. There might be a typo in your book. Okay, so we're going 5 yards times 3 gets us 15 feet. Okay, and then 15 plus 2, 17. Okay, all right, so now moving on to our last problem here, number 6. Okay, we're going to answer true or false for the following statements. If it's false, we're going to change the right side of the comparison to make it true. So we're changing the right side if it's false. Okay, so our first one here. 2 kilograms greater than 2,600 grams. Okay, well, let's get them both to grams. So we know that 2 kilograms equals 2,000 grams. So now we look, is 2,000 grams greater than 2,600 grams? Well, no, that's going to be false. Okay, so now what we need to do is change the right side of the equation to make it true. So we're going to cross off 2,600. Now what we need is really any number that is less than 2,000. So you can put any number you want that is less than 2,000. Okay, so I'm just going to put 1,900. Okay. Now our next one, we have 12 feet is less than 140 inches. Okay, so it's easier to put it into the smaller unit. Okay, so now 12 feet in inches. It's going to be 144 inches. Because 12 times 12. So now is 144 less than 140 inches? Okay. Well, obviously no. So we're going to cross off 140, and we're going to make it really anything that's greater than 144. So I'm going to turn this into 150. All right, now our last one here, we have 10 kilometers equals 10,000 meters. Okay, so we remember that kilo means 1,000, so 10 kilometers equals 10,000 meters. Okay, so this one is going to be true. Okay, all right, so go ahead and get started on the exit ticket.